Old School Lane Casual Chats is brought to you by Old School Lane, producing various content from blogs, videos, and podcasts discussing about movies, TV shows, video games, and everything else in between since 2011. You can check out the podcast on Anchor, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Radio Public, Overcast, Breaker, Pocket Cast, and YouTube. We're associated with Channel Frederator, Manic Expression, The Comic Book Cast, and The Arun Mehta Show. Hello, everyone. Welcome to a new episode of Casual Chats. I am Patricia, and I'm here with a very special guest who you may know as the lead singer of Hardline and Crush 40. We have Johnny Gioeli. Welcome, Johnny.
Hey, thanks, Patricia. How you doing?
I'm doing well, and I just want to thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me, considering that you have just recently released your new album, and from what I understand, you're going to be touring again pretty soon.
Well, yes. So the first part of that is 100% true. The new album, Heart, Mind, and Soul, is out and available worldwide now. I love this album. I'm completely in love with this album. It was just a wonderful chemistry between band members, writing this album and with great message, et cetera, et cetera. I love it. The second part, the touring. It's becoming a little bit difficult. We were slated to leave for Norway August 1 to kick off our Heart, Mind, and Soul tour. And now with this crazy virus variant floating around, that is canceled. I had to cancel the UK. I had to cancel Norway. I just canceled Russia, my appearances in Russia. And it's so disappointing, I got to tell you. I've been sitting here at home. Of course, I am not one to really sit. I use the term lightly because I'm very busy all the time, but it's been 18 months. And so I am so ready, Patricia, to get on the stage. I can't wait. I'm dying. I'm going to kiss the first stage I see.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand that, considering that, as somebody who goes around the world performing for, thousands of people and, getting the adrenaline from cheers and applauses. I mean, I'm sure that you desperately miss it.
Yeah, I mean, that is it. That's and I always tell, people that, right away, when you're stereotyped as a rock star, which I don't like to call myself that, but I guess that's what I am after having released 95 albums worldwide in my career in 39 years since I'm 11 years old. I guess I kind of earned that sort of saying. But yeah, I don't. It's not about the money. It's about the audience and the people and their escape. Because when I'm performing, they're there to escape from their world and enjoy a night of music or a day of music, whatever the scene is. And not to be able to do that for people, that is the biggest disappointment for me. It is 1,000,000%. I know that we need music in our lives at all time, and so not to have these live performances, although things are starting to get a little bit better, unfortunately, government by government, the restrictions are keeping me from not being on the stage in the areas that I need to go to. So it's a bit of a bummer.
I
That's for sure.
understand that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can understand considering that you have to be able to work around the limitations and everybody's doing things virtually. So you have to
Yeah.
play by that standard. And also that depending on which government, as you were saying before, that you have to be able to abide what they say. So yeah, I can see that, you're disappointed with it. I can tell from a lot of fans that were genuinely disappointed with it because like you were saying before, for them to be able to get back in a sense of normality to enjoy a concert with their friends and other fans and being able to experience something that they haven't been able to do in about 18 months. And yeah, I can see for a lot of people that they were disappointed, but it's not going to be forever.
No, exactly. You're exactly correct. Some of the restrictions, just to make you giggle, is I believe this was a German restriction that I would have to be seated while singing. So I'm like, okay, that is a little bit. I can't stay seated in front of the television for more than 4 minutes, let alone on stage. So yeah, so it's just completely bizarre. I mean, it's understandable, and I'm glad that there's precautions are being taken, but the precautions that are being taken do not fit into my normal repertoire of music business. So I just have to wait and make sure that hope and pray that everyone is safe and well and things turn around quicker. I mean, we thought we were like, okay, great, we're out of 2020 and everything's going to be great in 21, and now here we are going, okay, great, now I got to push everything to 2022. And I have, Patricia, just so you know, I have, oh my God. So it's a world tour. Meaning that we're everywhere on this world. I had to cancel Australian tour, an Asian tour, European tour, Eastern Europe tour. I've moved 60, 70, 80, 90 shows. I can't tell you how many times I've moved them, 3, 4 times already.
Mhm.
That's a difficult task in itself. But okay, let's be positive. Things are going to turn around here soon for all of us. It is not going to be forever, as you said, and we will get to a sort of sense of normality, and we will get back to our music norm for
Well,
sure. But it's
I
just not going to be by next month,
no,
unfortunately
it's
for me.
not. Yeah, but
Unfortunately,
you know what? I mean, let's just take it one day at a time.
yeah, that's really all we can do, right? And it's interesting. I was just so close to pulling the trigger for Norway, saying, okay, we're committing, we're going, and everything is good. And like the next day, the United States went from like what they call purple to red. And in that moment, it's over. You're done.
Yeah.
Can't travel, can't enter. Sorry, US. Sorry, can't have you here. And so I just, encourage everyone to, everyone has their feeling about, how they treat the situation, vaccinated or not, and this and that and the other, and all this crazy political division, which I don't mix with music because music, there's no politics in music.
Sure.
But I just encourage everyone to, do the right thing for your fellow human, and let's, protect each other and get on with life the way it was, and just, think back in 2019 and how differently things were. So anyway, take care of your fellow human. That's all, and do the right thing, whatever
Mhm.
that is for you.
Right. All right. So yeah, leaning more towards like a more positive direction. So I like to know, what was like your earliest memories of when you first got into music?
Oh, great question. Yes. So, I have an older brother, Joe. He's about 5.5, 6 years older than me. And when you have an older sibling that picks up the guitar and has his high school band, or, his junior high band playing in your basement of your house, you want to do the same thing as the younger brother. There's no question. So my brother inspired me to start playing music. And I just remember the feeling of watching his little, we'll call it a baby band play. And every night I would go, into that basement, and I would watch them and just be amazed that together 4 or 5 guys and girls, of course, can make this sound together, and people like, you change the way people feel, so I remember sitting on the steps of the basement watching this and knowing at that moment I'm going to do something in this thing called music and this music business. So I knew at a very young age, I was actually 8 years old um, when I started watching my brother play, and then my career literally started professionally at 11. So I was writing songs at 8 years old, learning how to play and writing stuff because I wanted my own songs. I didn't want to just play other people's songs. And then 11, the true definition of professional is when you're being paid to perform, then you become a professional. And at 11, I started my career playing clubs and shows all over, the U.S. And as this little kid, singing with a squeaky voice, and you got to start somewhere. So those are the fondest memories, the beginning years, the learning years. The rest is work.
Right. So, what was the bands or musicians that had gotten you to continue furthering your career as a musician, even like at a very young age?
I think it was, I'm sort of like a what you would call an 80s kid. I loved all the 80s melodic rocks music. So, bands like Scorpions and Van Halen, just those true 80s, bands, that were, Judas Priest and okay, Black Sabbath, that's a little not 80s, but it was those kind of bands, music with melody that really got me completely entrenched in the in the music and inspired me to really do something with music. I'll never forget. Funny story. I was in Bulgaria and I was doing uh, the equivalent of like a late night show that we have here, a late night talk show. And I was with the Scorpions, and then after the show, we had a dinner together with the whole production, television, company. And it was the first time I ever met the Scorpions at that time. And I've done a lot of shows with them since. But I'll never forget, talking to Klaus Meine, the singer, and saying, Klaus, I just have to tell you, that how much you inspired me, and coming up in the music business and your voice, and people sometimes say I sound like you a little bit and things like that. And he goes, "Wow, Johnny," and I expected a different answer. He goes, "That's really dynamite," and he starts singing Dynamite, and I'm like, "Wow, I love you." It's so awesome. But anyway, I've got stories and stories and stories, but let's continue.
No, I mean, I love hearing about all this stuff, considering that, there's such a fine line between doing something that you love because it's your passion, and then doing something that you're doing because, it makes you money. I mean, you were like saying before that you're doing it because of the audience and how their reaction was. And, it's like, you're following like the dream. It's like when, you ever hear those stories about like, I'm going to start a rock band.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. No, and that's exactly it. And that's what the most important thing for everyone to understand, in my opinion, is you need to wake up happy and go and fulfill your passion, whatever that is. The money will come, you just and it's not the most important thing. When the alarm goes off, the alarm clock goes off in the morning, you want to wake up happy and say, okay, am I being fulfilled? And if you're not, you've got to make a change. And maybe it's a slow change, it's a process of a change, but you've got to. I knew when my friends were playing with, now you're young, so I don't know if you remember Tonka toys, but when my friends were playing outside with little metal Tonka toys, I was inside my house playing guitars and drums and bass and piano and things like that. I mean, I knew at that point what I wanted to do. And so I was very fortunate. Not all of us get that sort of calling, that music calling or whatever it is, art calling, creative calling, business calling, whatever it is. But yeah, that's the point. The point is you've got to be fulfilled. And even when we write music, like the new album Heart, Mind, and Soul, which is out everywhere, um, you have to write songs for yourself, like a painter would look at a blank canvas and say, today I feel like making this kind of picture. You've got to please yourself. You've got to love yourself, and you love what you do first, in hopes that it translates to others. And if it does and it affects them, well, man, that's the big win right there. That's the grand slam, the grand poobah. That is everything, right?
Hmm.
So, but it all has to start from within, and that's what I do. I don't overthink all these things. People say, "Oh my gosh, do you agonize when you're writing the songs?" I'm like, no, it's easy. Shouldn't be hard. It should come from within, and you stare at a blank page and you say, what's the message I want to give people? What do I want to say? How do I, okay, so for me, with COVID, being home and really connecting with what was happening in our world, I learned a great deal about mental health. I didn't realize that we had such a massive problem worldwide, not just in America. There's like a third of this world that suffers from mental health. And I went, okay, how can I help? And I decided that for the next few years, I'm going to dedicate my message, whatever that is. And again, I'm not a therapist, I'm not a doctor, I'm a singer, I'm a musician. But I feel like I have a sense of responsibility in what I do, and I can have a responsibility, and everyone can. So I just decided I'm going to write about things that make people feel good and brings them to a place where they don't feel alone, they don't feel scared, they feel inspired, they feel positive, they feel uplifted. All those types of things. That's important to me. Not every artist is like that, and I'm not saying you have to be that way. For me, that's the way I want to do things. I want someone to take away when someone listens to a song. If the takeaway is like, wow, Johnny, that song just made me feel empowered, made me feel valued, made me feel like I had purpose, then for me, I've done my job. And that's just sort of where I'm at in my life. Look, I'm not a young little dude anymore. I'm getting up there, but I'm just so grateful that I have a platform and an opportunity to continue to make people happy. That's just me.
Absolutely. And that's the thing that a lot of us try to strive for, is that even though that we have all of this bursts of ideas and energy, we need to put it in somewhere. And some people put it towards something positive, others put it towards something negative. But the people who do put it in a positive light, they're doing it not only just for the craft, but they're also thinking in mind, there's other people who are going through the same things that I'm going through, or there's a huge thing going on that a lot of people are feeling. What can I do to make them feel better? Or what can
Yeah.
I do to help them escape from this problem?
Yeah.
And I think that that's great, considering that, me as a podcaster, I've been doing this for almost 10 years. When I first started, the reason why my friend and I, we wanted to just talk about the things that we like to talk about was because we were going through some struggles, whether it be with not getting, jobs because it was during the Great Recession, or,
Mhm.
our own personal lives wasn't where we wanted to be. So we just decided to channel our energy into talking about stuff that we liked. And a lot of people, they were able to generate a very similar feeling, and they were able to gravitate towards it. And I think that,
Great.
for a lot of people out there, they when it comes to like posting up something, whether it be art or whether it be music or whether it be film or podcast or whatever, it's more important than you think it is. I mean, a lot of people would say,
Definitely.
my friends and colleagues, I go to school, and my friend posted up a picture that his dad sent him, saying, why didn't you become a doctor? And he's like, because I don't have that passion to become a doctor. And then he kind of like offhandedly gave him a joke, saying like, oh, this guy has a heart attack. Are you gonna, show the camera lights to show how, bad it is? It's like, I mean, it was kind of like a joke, but it means like, yes, we may not be able to save lives in a physical way, but we're able to save lives in different ways. Where maybe,
Absolutely.
we are able to save, just like you were saying before, about like people are going through mental health, which, I can attest to, because when we were going through online courses, we were like overwhelmed and exhausted, and so we would have
Sure.
mental health days. So we were able to
Sure.
take some time off, and we were able
Yeah.
to like rejuvenate ourselves until we got back onto studying. So
It's
uh,
important. And
mhm.
and like you said, expression is everything, and passion is the key to the success in your life. There's no question about it. You must feel great about who you are and what you do in this life. And I always focus with people. I go, listen, and again, Patricia, I'm not a therapist. I'm a singer, and I'm certainly not a doctor. I would have loved to have been a doctor. I must tell you that. But and I'll tell you a funny story too, off of stemming off of that. But I think it's important that people understand, okay, so I don't suffer from mental health issues. I wake up, I'm really happy. So I'm really fortunate. But I certainly understand that people don't always wake up happy and they struggle with it. And I just encourage people in my journey for the next couple of years, sending out great message and supporting people and loving people like I do. I just I put out the message that I hope people truly understand that you have value. It all starts there. Everyone has value, everyone has purpose. And it's our jobs to just look within for that value and purpose. But at first, it starts with understanding that everyone has value. It doesn't matter how much money you make, it doesn't matter what your career is. You must first, it comes from within, understand that you have value. From there, once you do, you'll have a completely different outlook on life. Now we have a song on Heart, Mind, and Soul. It's called Surrender, and there's a video. But the hook is never surrender. That's the message. And the reason I wrote it was because a fan reached out to me that was going to literally take their life. I hate to make this interview be kind of like a
No,
bum
no,
up,
please go
but it's,
ahead.
it's important. It's important. But this person was going to take their life, and then they listened to a song of mine and said, I love this song and how it makes me feel, and I'm worth more than dying. And that message came to me, and honest to God, I almost fell out of my chair. I think I might have slid off my chair and went, whoa, that's heavy. That's a responsibility. And if my music had that effect on someone, then I'm doing a good thing for me. That's and obviously for that for the world. Hopefully, if it's taken that way. Some people listen to music and they get out of it what they get out of it, and that's fine. But in this instance, I realized, whoa, music can be an extremely powerful platform and emotional medicine for people. So in the song Surrender, one of the lines leading up to the hook of Never Surrender is, how in the world did I know you needed me more than I knew you? And the meaning behind that is, and that's why I pray your listeners look deep into the lyrical content of this album, because it is a little bit borderline concepty. And the meaning behind that is the fact that at that moment, I didn't realize how many people not necessarily need me, but need music to feel completely, great. They need music as a medicine, as a therapy. And so I dug deep into the lyrics of this album when writing it, and songs like "We Belong," which was actually inspired by my son Brandon, who's learning how to play guitar, and he wrote that beginning riff, so he has writing credit, and I'm very proud of him. And the song "We Belong" is not a relationship between people; it's a relationship between man and song, and I'm really proud of that song. We belong. Music won't divorce you. It won't leave you. It will never leave you stranded. It won't not marry you. It's always with you, and you have that. No matter where you go, what you do, you can always rely on music to bring you to a place, hopefully a good place in your life. So anyway, lots of killer songs on the album, lots of good message, I hope. And I like that situation that happened that shocked me. I hope everyone gets a good, positive feeling from this album and from the lyrical content. And I hope, because I love everyone, that everyone finds their value and purpose in this life. I do
Exactly.
care
Yeah,
about you.
absolutely. And if you haven't found it yet, then it's okay. It's not going to come to you
Right.
right away.
Totally. 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 So now, funny story. Because I've got a sidebar into some fun stuff. So I was, so you were speaking about some of my fond memories in music, and I will remember playing Wembley in England. And it's not every musician that gets an opportunity to play Wembley. And for me, it was a great thrill. And I was on tour with a band called Extreme, and it was sold out for 2 nights in a row, and that was just a thrill. But I'll never forget, I was with my girlfriend at the time, who's my now wife, and she said to me, "Look at that guy over there. He thinks he's Roger Daltrey." And I tapped my wife and I said, "Honey, that is Roger Daltrey. And
Wow.
yeah, and so just fun stuff, and to meet people, sit and talk. We always have our catering backstage. We had private catering, and certain tours, even your own ovens are brought backstage, and we have cooks and things like that. It's kind of interesting because we're trying to stay really healthy and be on special meals and things like that.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget, I walked into the backstage area, and my now wife was having a conversation with Brian May from Queen, and I had to shake my head and go, wait a minute, that's Brian May. That's Brian May from Queen, and just and I sat down, and we all started talking, and then you realize how awesome musicians are. It doesn't matter how huge they are, the level, the status of their rock and roll platform. They're everyone. We're all human, and we have we have everything's relative. We have, okay, we may have a little bit more money, but we've got very big bills also. So it's all relative. And we just sit around going, we're all human. I remember sitting backstage on a blanket with Slash from Guns N' Roses, sort of having like a backstage sit down picnic thing, and sitting there just talking music, and I'm going, wow, this is Slash, Guns N' Roses, and I'm sitting on a blanket just shooting the shit. So anyway, this is real life. I love it, and I love where music can take you.
Yeah, I kind of have like kind of like a surreal experience when there's an event in Florida called Sunfest, where they would
Oh yeah.
have like all of these musicians come by and they would perform music. And I was at a Barnes and Noble nearby where they were like performing some music.
Do
And
people
just
even
when I
know
was
what Barnes and Noble is anymore? Do people even know what a Barnes and Noble is? Okay, yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Like, okay.
Yeah, it's like what is this block booster thing? Exactly. Anyway, so I was there. I was like getting acquainted with some of the books that they were having up on the shelves, and up comes walking into the hall Steven Tyler from
Oh yeah,
Aerosmith.
he's a great guy. Great guy.
Yeah, he is. I mean, I was like kind of shocked. I was like, "Excuse
Yeah.
me, are you Steven Tyler?" And he was like, "No." He
No, I'm
was
not.
yeah,
Yeah,
no,
he's
I'm
joking.
not. Yeah, he was like
Yeah.
that. But he was like, kind of
Yeah.
like trying to
He's a
keep
lot
a
he's a lot smaller than people know.
yeah, it's
You
actually
notice
funny
that?
because yeah, I noticed that. I mean, I'm not even that tall myself. I'm only 5'4", but even then, I was like, oh, he looks taller than he does on on TV. But anyway, and so
Yeah, I think that's it. So but he was real cool and normal dude, right?
yeah, he was pretty normal. He was pretty like really out there, but he was like a pretty chill dude. And I was like, I had a book that I was gonna purchase, and I was like, "Can you autograph my book?" And he was like, really cool. He was like, "Yeah." He just signed the book and he just gave it to me, and I didn't even have to pay for it. I was like, "Wow!" And I still have that book in my shelf somewhere.
Isn't that cool? And it's so again, going talking about how music can affect you. That experience for you is a lasting positive experience that you'll keep with you the rest of your life, and you'll never forget it. And that's
Yeah,
really what I want my sort of, I don't know, call it a legacy, whatever. What I want it to be. I want people to remember me, to say, wow, Johnny, that he was such a, he was a nice dude, and he loved people, and he never swooshed anyone away. I've never done that. I've heard horror stories. I'm not gonna lie. I've heard horror stories that I'm not proud that some of my fellow musician, uh, uh, bandmates, not my personal bandmates, but I've heard horrible stories where people don't give time. And I always remind my bandmates, myself, that the reason I'm here is because of all of you guys. I mean, really, if you watch one of the talent shows, American Idol or The Voice or one of these shows on TV, you realize that there's amazing talent. Okay, there's some not so good talent too, but there's mostly amazing talent around the world that's never heard unless
hmm
they have a platform. So for a guy like me to have 95 albums out, I am so grateful to you guys, to the journalists, the podcasters, the magazines, the TV people, the fans, because without you guys, really, what am I? I'm just like this floating voice. that would just exist somewhere.
Yeah.
And so I always remind everybody, be grateful, man, and make the time for the people and appreciate every single person that comes to a show. They're there to have an experience that's hopefully not a scar. That's hopefully something positive, more like a beautiful tattoo, for the rest of their life. So anyway, that's the way I think about things. I'm a little weird that way, but
No,
it's
no,
just
not at
shows up.
all. Because sadly, as somebody who does, podcast and online content creation, I've sadly seen the same thing. I mean, not from personally from people I know, but I have seen like people who have like way more listeners or way more viewers than I do. And I've heard one story about a particular person who's like really well known in the online world. And there was like this huge event in a convention or something. And there were these two people who wanted to like ask for their autograph or ask for a selfie. And he just like shushed them and he just kept walking away. And I'm like, dude,
Oh,
yeah, dude, you have
terrible.
like over 1 million subscribers. You have
Oh,
like a ton of listeners out there who,
terrible.
have been wanting to see you and have been supporting your work. And you're just going to like shush them away.
Yeah,
There's this
terrible.
really great quote that one of my favorite podcasts, Talking Tunes with Rob Paulson, he's a voice actor. And he told us a great story about his hero, Gordie Howe, who was a hockey player.
I
And
know
he was
for
like,
sure. We're a hockey family, so of course.
cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he was like signing autographs, and then one of the fans approached Gordie Howe saying, "I just want to say that your hand must be really tired. I'm sure you want to take a break. We'd be more than happy waiting for you." And he's just smiled and said, "That's very nice of you, son, but I worked too hard for this privilege." Now, can you
Yep.
imagine that?
That's
Imagine that you have
yeah. That's
been, I
beautiful.
mean, I don't know about you, Johnny, but I'm sure that you've had your like major ups and downs when you were first starting, and especially
Sure.
with all this
Oh my
stuff that's
God.
been happening with the pandemic, and you want to just keep yourself afloat with everything that's been going on. And the reason why that we're here is because we have a fan base who will support us, who will give us motivational encouragement so that we can continue on. And we have the opportunities to post out new stuff so that they can be able to genuinely feel themselves happy, or even escape to somewhere happier. So
Right. Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. Exactly right. Yeah, the old cliche, starving artist, believe every bit of that.
Yeah.
I've had plenty of I never forget, coming up in the music business, we had a tour bus and there was about 14 guys that lived on it. This is before I was signed to a major label and things like that. And it was on a rare occasion where we had some extra money and we'd go and buy some very beautiful California fruit. And I used to label my nectarine. And if you touch my nectarine, I swear I'd kick you. And so it was like a luxury to be able to afford a nice piece of fruit. And like, don't touch my nectarine. Believe me, I remember all of that, and I'm humble, to my success, and I give the people the time. I will tell you, there was a very, very famous heavy metal, still is around. I won't mention names. And this is an interesting story. One of a fan of mine came. He was backstage and said, I'm a massive fan of you, and thank you for taking the time talking to me. I said, of course. And if I can, look, if I'm healthy, my voice feels good, and I'm not under, a strict schedule or whatever, I'm going to talk to everyone, and I care about your life and everyone. This particular rock star was on a train, and the guy was talking to me. He said, "Look, I bought every album from this artist. I have posters all over my room. I lived and breathed this artist, and I couldn't believe I saw him on a train." Now, he was in the first class section of the train, and I was in the economy section. He goes, "But I had to go up there and just say thank you for creating such beautiful memories and amazing work and blah blah blah." And when he did so, that rock star said, "Get the F back in the train."
Oh no.
And yeah, and at that moment, everything was shattered. Everything was gone. All the time, you had this person on a pedestal and it's gone. And I think that is shameful and just horrific. We're all humans. We all do the same things. I have the same bodily functions as everyone else, and that's the way it should be. And the music to me is a family. I classify it as family. And if you love my music and what I do, you're in my family. So and I would never shush away, a family member. So anyway, it's kind of like that.
Oh, absolutely. It's like what I've heard, some people say like music is the universal language. I mean, no matter what country, no matter what upbringing you have, music can be able to touch you in a very personal way.
It's true, and if you can imagine this, so some parts of this world, let's take Bulgaria for example. I love Bulgaria. I love the people of Bulgaria. I'm there a lot. I do a lot of shows and festivals. I have a festival this August that so far is on, thank God, and it's a free concert for all the people of Montana, Bulgaria. Anyone who flies, who goes, or travels to Montana can watch this show. I'll be there. My friend is Jeff Scott Soto, another famous rocker, and Ronnie Romero, who's a singer for Rainbow now, and just got a lot of other projects. We're all there, and we're performing for the people for free. It's just a special thing. But I will tell you, in Bulgaria, years and years ago, it was illegal for you to play any music other than Bulgarian music, and if you did, you would go to jail.
Wow.
You couldn't play an AC/DC song or a Scorpion song or a Van Halen song or a Justin Bieber song or any song. Well, of course, Justin Bieber wasn't around back then, but you couldn't play anything but Bulgarian music. Imagine not having that freedom.
Right.
That's insanity to me. So now, like going to some of these countries, it's all so new and fresh still, and which makes it so exciting because people are still wearing their AC/DC shirts and their Judas Priest shirts and their Scorpion shirts and their Johnny Gioeli shirts and their Hardline shirts and their Axel Rudy Pell and Crush 40 and on and on and on. It's just so cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of which, speaking about like, people being just absolutely enthralled by the music because it just made them remind themselves about, man, when listening to this, it brings me back and it brings me so much joy. I just want to thank you so much for you and June and everybody at Crush 40 killing it at the 30th Anniversary Symphony.
Woo! Thank you. That was so awesome. What a thrill. And I had a friend in from California and he wanted to try some of our famous pizza because I'm really close to New York here. And so I said, okay, but I have to watch this stream because then, we've got this live thing and I got to take care of this, business first. And I watched it grow from 5,000 people, 10,000. I'm going, what? 100,000, 200,000, and now we're 1,000,000, 4,000,000, 5. I just could not believe it. It was emotional for me, honestly. Every hair on my body stood straight up. I could not believe what was happening, and I was like, wow, this is an epic period in my life for everyone to enjoy this. And that was, yeah, it was a thrill with the orchestra and the whole thing. And I really think, I'm talking to them, I think it would be amazing to take that show on the road to major cities in a live theater. Could you imagine that, being sitting there and how that would sound, just
Oh
that
man.
music filling the room with the orchestration and the whole, live and learn, just the whole, I mean, come on. That would be, what, if I did that and I could end my career right there, I'd say, okay, I'm good. I can stop now. That's kind of like,
Yeah.
if what's the last thing you want to do before you die? I'd be okay with that.
Yeah, performing in front of a huge orchestra and then just singing live and learn and then that's it, we're
I'm
done.
good. Take me out. Yeah, I'm done. Throw me in the hole. I'm good. Yeah, that was amazing. So thanks for mentioning that. I really enjoyed putting that all together, and it was, what a thrill to see it all come together, and the response was just what blew me away. So there you go, to my point. The memories that we have for my fellow crushers, I call them crushers. My crushers, this was like, Crush 40 and that gaming music is a part of history for so many people. It was a part in time, whether it was your childhood when you were gaming and you remember those songs and you remembered how you felt playing that game and listening to that music. It is a permanent part of you. And for me to be able to take part in the history of your life, come on. That
Absolutely.
is that is everything for a musician. And that's what I'm talking about, when that feeling of affecting someone, and changing them for good. for me, that is, forget it. That's everything. I could go on and on and on talking about that, but I won't.
Well, I just want to say that, just seeing everybody's reaction when you started, singing Open Your Heart or Night of the Wind or I
I
Am All
am,
of Me.
yeah. I'm all of me. Oh, there I go. Sorry.
No,
Couldn't
no, no,
help.
no, please. I mean, you could do a whole concert here. I don't care. But then when you got to Live and Learn, like seriously, the chat blew up. It
Yeah,
blew up,
yeah.
and everybody was just like yelling out, live and learn in the chat. It was absolutely insane.
And I'm gonna tell you, so the funny story, and I've said this in a lot of interviews. When I wrote that song with Jun Sonoy, and I did all of the lyrics, and of course I wrote all the melody and everything. And
Hmm.
when I sent it to him, I said, "Is this song good? Are you sure it's good?" I mean, that's being humble in your own music, because I wasn't sure. And he goes, "Are you kidding? It's great." I'm like, okay, I mean, I hope the people love it. I hope it works. And here we are, how many
Yes.
years later, and it's still like, yes, live and learn.
Yeah,
Awesome.
absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I need to know, what have been some of your favorite songs to perform for, Crush 40?
Well, certainly live and learn's always that, because I mean, I don't even have to sing it. I could put the mic forward and let the audience sing every single word. They know the words better than me. So, live and learn certainly is one. I am, as we just mentioned, another one. What I'm made of, I think, is powerful. I've always loved, let me show you what I'm made of, and that,
Hmm.
and that song was not written about me. Let me show you what I'm made of. It was the community. It was all these crushers. It was all our fellow gamers. It was, everyone that, you that enjoyed playing these games, because it's something, I've learned that gaming, and I'm not a gamer. So I am not a gamer. I've never really played anything other than, because I'm an old guy, like play like Pong and Frogger. I'm like,
Sure.
yeah, me, I'm not a gamer. And I don't want to be, because I don't want it to kind of skew the way I think about songwriting. I look at games, um, and the scene that I'm presented with, and the evil Eggman's going to do this, that, and the other, and Shadow and Sonic does this, that, and I look at it at a real finite level, and then create from it. But if I know too much about the game, or how the history of the games and how they were progressing, I don't want it to affect the way I write. So I choose not to play them. But what I love about it is sort of the safety. I've learned that a lot of the Crush 40 fans feel safe within the games, because they're games that they can control. And sometimes we have a hard time controlling our lives, right? Even we all do.
Hmm.
There's such times of stress, but with gaming, you can control it to a point. You're either really good at it, or you're like me, you suck. But you at least have that opportunity to have control in your life and listen to the music that you love, that's built into the game. And so I think that's just all really special. And yeah, so I think I am, live and learn, what I'm made of. I just did a duet with, again, speaking of Bulgaria, my beautiful Bulgarian friend Sevi, who's a very famous artist in Bulgaria and Eastern Europe, and soon the rest of the world. And we remade the "Song of Hope" that June and I wrote for when the tsunami happened in Japan years ago. I wrote the "Song of Hope" as a charity song, and then we just remade that, and it was perfect fit for the pandemic. And so, if your listeners want to check out "Song of Hope" with Sevi, she's an amazing artist and great, amazing vocalist, performer, and an even more amazing person. So anyway, the list would go on and on and on, Patricia, with the songs that I love for Crush 40. I don't think there's a song I don't like. I don't think there's one song that we've ever created that I went, oh God, that song sucks. Never.
Oh,
I love them all, in
yeah,
my opinion.
that's great. I mean, I'm sure that for somebody who's been doing it for so long, I'm sure they'll probably look back at their older stuff. It's like I could have done that better, or maybe I could have tweaked the lyrics or something. But no, I'm glad to hear that you're still proud of the stuff that you've done.
Yeah, I mean, I don't listen to my own music that much. If I do, like maybe I'm on a run or something, and I'll listen to an album on a run, and I only listen to it to critique it and just say, oh shoot, I could have made that line more powerful. I should have layered a harmony here. Oh, I wish I would have broke this part down more. critical musical musician stuff. So
Yeah,
we're never really satisfied. I don't think any artist, using the word broadly, artist, whether you're a painter, whatever, you're a writer, you're never fully complete and satisfied. Artistry is open ended. It's never really finished. A song's never really finished.
sure.
So it can make you a little bit nutty, and it has for me. But once it's out there, you go, okay, there's nothing you can do now. It's out there,
Yeah.
and which makes it kind of an interesting, time and space can be very interesting for music.
Yeah. Exactly. I mean, I even know some artists, and they do some amazing art. And when they look back on their own stuff, and it's like all I see are mistakes. But
Oh,
for like some people, it's like, no, I don't see it. It's like it looks
be a
great. And
masterpiece.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
that'd be a
And
masterpiece.
I'm
Yeah.
sure like for a lot of your songs for Hardline and Crush 40, I'm sure that they feel exactly the same way. Hence why we mentioned about the fact that people are willing to go into seeing wanting to see the tours, and then they were let down when they found out that it was canceled. Or going back into the symphony, it's like people were excited to see you perform, and everybody was like really excited to see you and June and everybody at Crush 40 performing again.
Yeah, it was like the closest thing we could do to the real thing,
Yeah.
even though that was live. I mean, that was not me singing in a recording studio and editing or anything like. I mean, that was me singing live. It kind of sounded like the original thing a little bit. Thank you. Thank God. But when I stop sounding like me, that's when I'm going to fully retire and go fishing. So you guys have to let me know, like, Johnny, you don't sound the same anymore. I think you're about ready to take that boat and go fishing.
or,
So
or even another alternative way is that a person would think about retiring when they said, "Nah, I don't want to listen to that anymore." I
yeah,
mean, it's like
exactly.
when you try to sing like "Live and Learn," it's like, then they
Yeah,
just walk away. It's like,
yeah, no,
no,
yeah.
okay.
I'm
But
glad
no,
you're.
that's not gonna happen. I mean, if it's been like this for like 20 something years, it's like I think you're still good.
Yeah, thank you. I hope I hope you're right, and that continues to be like that.
Oh,
And
trust me. I mean, it's an understatement. They want, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if you can say anything, but they really would like for you to perform in the movie.
so the movie, it's funny, it's interesting. So there's been such a fan support, and I agree. I think that Crush 40 and a lot of these songs are synonymous and are part of the history and are epic, with all the Sega games that we performed on. And I literally just, this is brand new news for you,
Okay.
just for your podcast. I literally just reached out to the production company about this topic, and I said, "Listen, the fans are making me crazy in a good way. The fans are making me crazy, and I'm going to do my job. And I'm reaching out because they want Crush 40 at some level in the movie.
There
People
is a little tiny Easter egg in the first
There is.
movie.
Yes,
Yes.
there is. I did see that. I and first I had to be taught what an Easter egg was. What the one we colored and we would eat. So once I knew what an Easter egg was, I checked the movie and I did see it, which was really cool. Which they know that we are a part of that history, but they just haven't fully engaged for whatever reason. But I did reach out to the executive producer. I won't tell you his name, but I did have an email out there and spoke to some people, and we'll see what happens. That's all I'm going to say is we'll see what happens. But I feel like I've done my job because the fans are like, Johnny, please, please. So I said, okay. Sometimes, in life, you don't wait, you just go for it. And normally I would never call the production company. If the production company wants Crush 40, they're going to call for Crush 40. But in this instance, because I love all my crushers so much, and everyone's saying, Johnny, please, please, come on, please, I literally reached out. So I'm waiting to hear. And as soon as I know something, I will let the masses know that we'll be part of it. I hope we will be in some way. And again, it's not a money thing. It's a history thing.
Hmm.
And I'd love to share that history with all the fans.
Absolutely. So yeah, I have a few more questions before we wrap up. Other
Sure.
than the story that you were talking about, the guy who listened to one of your songs and it saved him from suicide, what were your other favorite fan interactions?
Oh man, wow, there's so many. So I get that a lot, which I'm happy about. It's not always saving someone's life, but it's pulling people out of a dark place. And hey, and what's wild about that is sometimes a song I write it a certain way because again I write it for myself first. I don't write it like I'm going to write this song with Patricia in mind. It doesn't work that way. Unfortunately, it doesn't. Sorry, Patricia. It
No, no,
doesn't
no,
work
it's
that
okay. Don't worry about
way.
it.
So it's great when people the interactions that I love are when people come up to me and they say that that song made me feel like this, and I'm thinking to myself, well, I didn't write it that way. It wasn't meant to make you feel like that. So those are kind of funny interactions, but I don't care if it everyone interprets things the way they want, and so for someone to pull something out of it that I didn't mean to write it that way, but it works for them, that's a great thrill. So I will say the funniest interaction I ever had ever is I was doing a massive show. This was probably 60, 70, 80,000 people. And it was a big hoopla backstage. You've got security, you've got television, there's lots of stuff going on. And I'm preparing for the show. So I'm warming up and I'm preparing mentally, physically, with my voice, getting ready for the show. And the record company person pulled me away and said, Johnny, can you please spend a few moments with this person? And I said, I'm in the middle of work. I'm on stage in like 40 minutes. I've got to really start. What is it? Is everything okay? Like, yes, this person just wants to talk to you for a few minutes. I said, and again, now you know me a little bit more, Patricia. I said, absolutely. But when I went over there, I learned, I said, uh, listen, are you okay? Is everything okay? Yes, John, I have to let you know that I won you. And I said, excuse me? You, yeah, you won me? She goes, yes, I paid a lot of money and I won you. I said, well, I'm not really for sale. And well, what did you win? And I learned at that moment that the record company, yes, sold me like a cheap pair of sneakers. And I guess it turned out it was some kind of charity thing, but I wasn't aware of this. I didn't, I, and it was really funny. So I did end up spending some time with that person. I said, okay, well, you spent a lot of money from me, so let's sit and talk quickly because I have to get ready for this show. I mean, here I am, 60, 70, 80,000 people waiting for a show. And I walk over and I learn that someone won me. Okay. Well, that was interesting. So
Wow.
that's my crazy interaction of the day.
That's great. I've heard about those kind of contests about like, oh, if you enter in, you get to spend time with this person for like an hour or something, but it's like, wow, okay. But the fact that they say you won me, it's like,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah. I won you. You did? Okay, cool.
that's great.
I hope I wasn't too expensive. But anyway, oh, it's funny.
That's great. So I'm sure that a lot of our listeners who may want to pursue in music, what advice would you give them?
Well, um, the most important advice is to
More
start.
mail,
Oh,
Johnny.
my
Low battery.
battery's dying on my computer. Can you please? Okay,
That's
I don't know
okay.
if you heard that. It said Johnny, low battery. All right, I know, computer.
That's
We're
okay.
going. We're almost done. So the most important part of anything that you're trying to strive for and achieve is to start and not being afraid to start. And sometimes knowing too much is dangerous, because you may become fearful of what you know rather than what you don't know. So my advice to everyone, if that made sense, is I'm not a highly educated guy. I don't have a lot of schooling in me, but that sometimes can work to your advantage. For me, it did. I'm not saying for everyone, but for me, it did because I wasn't afraid of what I didn't know. So I just started. So when you have a passion for something, my advice is to start at any level. If you think I got here 95 albums deep because I was lucky, no. I got here because I dedicated my life to it. I focused on it. I figured it out. I starved. I did whatever I had to do to make it happen. And especially in this country, there's nothing you can't do. I know that's not the case for all countries because there's a lot of restrictions, but we are very free here in America, and you can be whoever you want to be, and you don't have to have a lot of money to do it. You have to start, and you have to have a commitment to it. So anyway, that's the short of the long is, and I know that wasn't quite too short, but the short of the long is begin, start somewhere and keep going. Believe in yourself, believe in your value, believe in your purpose, and be good to people, and good things will happen.
Absolutely. And one final question. What would you like to be remembered for?
Woo. Oh, okay. I think, what's important to me is being remembered as good. My father, when he was alive, he said, life is pretty easy to navigate. And I go, what do you mean, Dad? He goes, well, the difference is knowing what is right and what is wrong. And when you know what is right and what is wrong, you're going to navigate easily through life. So I've always wanted to be known to be the person that does right and does good. So if you remember me that way, then I'm fulfilled.
That sounds great. And I just want to thank you so much, Johnny, for taking the time to talk to me and to answer all of my questions. And for all the listeners out there, I hope that you enjoyed this episode of Casual Chat. So again, Johnny, thank you so much.
Hey, Patricia, thank you. And thank you to all the listeners. Be great, do great, and you will be great. Trust me. And I'll see you as soon as I can on a stage near you.
Absolutely. So right before we go, why don't you plug and promote your stuff one more time?
Okay, so brand new album, Heart, Mind, and Soul. It is out now worldwide. Brand new album from Hardline. I also have a new album called Diamonds Unlocked from Axel Rudy Pell, which is kind of my hard rock stuff. That is out now, I believe. But yeah, so lots of albums, lots of music. You can find this music everywhere. So grab it, enjoy it, use it, live it, and God bless you all.
Absolutely. And as for me, you can find me on many social media platforms. I'm on YouTube, youtube.com/oldschoollane, facebook.com/oldschoollane. I'm on Twitter at Patty_B_Miranda. You can check out my podcast on Anchor, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Radio Public, many places. New
You're
episodes.
everywhere, girl.
Yeah, everywhere.
Great.
New episodes of my podcast will go up there first, and then it'll go up in a few days on YouTube. So thank you so much for listening, everyone. Let us know in the comments below about your fondest memories of listening to Johnny's music, whether you started from Hardline or Crush 40, and go check out Johnny's new album. So thank you so much, everyone. Hope to see you around soon, and take care.